Yeah, you just have to, I know like there's face, and then I guess I just have them memorized. I don't have a acronym.
Yeah, that's where the hard work comes in.
Yeah.
I had all kinds of tricks for bass clef that actually messed me up over the years.
Yeah, yeah.
But, yeah.
Also, before we get started, there's water, beer, soda water over here if anybody wants anything to drink.
Oh yeah, the more you drink, the better. The way it works.
Exactly. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's the.
No, I have the Stratocaster. Sounds.
All right, take one and pass it down.
Okay. Can I tell you guys about my friend Dave?
Oh, please do.
Okay, so,
This is a real treat.
yeah, it is a real treat. Dave Peterson taught at Cornish for 35 years. When Mac was
Ah, yeah.
That's the connection. That's the deal. And I met Dave on a gig. We were playing bass on that gig. And yeah, Dave plays piano and bass and guitar. And so I made it a habit to take him out to lunch and pick his brain. Got some free lessons this way. I learned a lot from this man. And so now he's in the neighborhood from him too.
Goes both ways. You can if you're open to it all.
Yeah, well, Dave's pretty open-minded. Yeah, I appreciate that. And so this is a transcription of his tune. I think I got it right. Most of it. Dave?
Yeah.
You don't need to read it, probably. But this is Dave Peterson too. This is an original. And this album is on Origin Records. It's called Portal. And Portal is a tune that we're not going to. Well, I'll play a little bit of it after
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Maybe I should play it now, and then we could go into this.
Yeah, why don't we do
That works. They're both in G. So okay, so here's Portal. I love this tune.
This is the title track.
This is the title track. This is not what you have the chart for, but
Okay.
we're just gonna
Coming soon.
hear a little bit of it because it's.
Portal is in 3/4, and then we're gonna transform into 4/4.
Yeah.
Hopefully smoothly. We'll see how it goes. So Dan's playing the 3/4 tune Portal.
So this is a lot of modal harmony. So you don't see a lot of like 5/1 relationships, but you hear a lot of interesting jazzy sounds, and it was kind of dense and chewy music, and that's why I enjoyed talking to Dave because he taught me how to understand these things better. So yeah, this is a treat. Okay. This is called feedback.
Yeah, okay. That's awesome. Wow, cool. So how did he come up with the name for that tune?
Chuck Deerdorf did that.
Really?
Because I didn't have a title, so he titled it for us. So that's his title.
Nice.
I don't know where that came from.
That's the deal. And is modal jazz part of the title? Or is it an example of modal
Just an
jazz?
example of modal jazz. Yeah.
I like that's the deal, modal jazz.
Yeah, there it is.
Well, that's kind of like, you have some really literal song titles, like Rhythm Tune. It's like a tune over rhythm changes.
It's a non-creative way of naming tunes, basically.
I know just the one you're talking about when you say rhythm. Rhythm changes. So, we play that one.
You want to do that?
I have a chart for that one too, if anybody's interested. But
Cool.
we have more
Give me a copy.
We should probably see that, does everybody know what when somebody says rhythm changes,
Oh, yeah.
does that make any sense? Or it's what it is it's based on the tune I Got Rhythm by Gershwin. I Got Rhythm. And the original tune has a 4-bar tag at the end, but jazz players leave the tag off and just play the 32 bars. And you just repeat that over and over. So that's like a lot of Charlie Parker's songs, the rhythm changes, and that era anyway. But the older jazz players used to think, or used to say, you need to know blues in all 12 keys and rhythm in all 12 keys. Well, that's a lot of work. But the beboppers, those two forms were kind of their starting point, blues and rhythm changes based on I Got Rhythm. So,
And what do you, like, so when we're talking about rhythm changes, you know, have you ever seen the chart from the Jamie Aebersold book? It's like 500 variations of rhythm changes.
Yeah.
What is the standard for you? Like, what are the progressions? What's the progression when you think of like the most basic?
The most basic, I think, is sometimes people play it bluesy, and sometimes it's more majorish sounding, if that makes any sense. Well, say that question again, Mac.
Yeah, so like what are the chord changes that you go to as your first kind of rhythm changes? What's the basic chord changes?
Well, most of it is a 1-6-2-5, and then the bridge is a cycle of dominant chords. So there's a lot of chords, so it'd be good to write them out and let you see what. But I like to start with that basic, those basic chords, and then there's a lot of doing either dominant or major. It just depends on what the band is doing and what you hear. It's kind of how you treat the solo. If that makes that's pretty big. But.
Yeah, but when people play rhythm changes, it's kind of like you all kind of you say, okay, we're gonna play rhythm changes, but you don't necessarily know exactly what everybody is gonna play. They might play some different variation than you, and you kind of have to agree upon it once you're already going.
Yeah, in the middle of it.
Yeah, you.
Kind of like a river that doesn't stop. You just have to go with it and adjust. And like the bass player could do something different and change everybody else's chords. They always do. Yeah,
right.
That's it.
So yeah, cool.
He's got one variation on the second time through 8. So it's 1-6-2-5, but then it goes this 5 altered chord of 6. It's kind of crunchy, and I look forward to that. So
nice.
Yeah, and then after that, it's pretty standard.
Like a D altered or something.
Yeah, like a D7 sharp 9. And then in the bridge, it's kind of like A minor to D7, D minor to G7. So instead of these dominant chords, you're getting, instead of just 5 chords, you're getting like a 2, and then a 5, and then a 2, and then a 5.
Nice.
2, 5, 2.
Yeah, play the normal bridge. Yeah, so the normal bridge for rhythm changes is
That's what it sounds like. That's why no one plays it.
Right. And so so then the bridge though on your tune, it's dominant chords, but they've taken the 2-5 partner.
I'm thinking of 2-5s when I wrote it.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily write those on the chart.
Okay, gotcha. Oh yeah.
But they're right in the line.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Line cliche.
So I'll say this about the melody or the head is kind of intended to be a little bit of a, if I get critical, it's a little generic to me, typical bebop licks, but that's kind of what I wanted for this tune. Try to write a tune like Charlie Parker, so that was what my intention was with writing the tune.
It's like
Nice.
I like it as well or better than my little suede shoes, or you know, it's like it's
Yeah,
kind of.
that's not quite
I know, it is
rhythm,
different.
but
No,
it's similar, yeah.
just some of the gestures are, and the kind of Latin feel. It's kind of a calypso.
It's a little like, I don't know what it's like St. Thomas.
A little bit like St. Thomas, yeah. Without the drummer, you're not gonna necessarily hear that, but we'll do our best. Cool. Right on.
Hey, Mo.
What's up?
Come on in, man. We're just hanging out.
Sweet. We're gonna play rhythm change.
Oh, I love this.
Right on time.
You wanna-
I always go too fast. Yeah, too fast. That's good.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
tune.
Far out.
So Dan, I wonder if anybody know the type of chord that they're playing at the very end, the very last chord that they played. They finished the tune and then it went. Yeah, what is that chord right there? Anybody know?
Sharp 9.
Sharp 9.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a thing you hear sometimes, you know.
Yeah, this is
You
like
hear that one quite a few times, don't you?
a jazz trope.
Pat Martino got a lot of use out of that voicing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. It's just a thing that people do sometimes.
Yeah. Somebody one time, a guitar player one time in one of the piano classes said that is the Jimi Hendrix chord.
Oh, it is more or less, yeah. The Hendrix chord, so purple is.
Oh yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay, that's the one.
And
Sometimes it has.
I've never heard of it like that before. That's kind of cool.
It's easy on guitar.
and it's a great chord for diminished scale.
I think that came from Miles' tune. Was it? I'm not sure.
The theme, maybe?
The theme?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, at the end of that.
Yeah. So I think that's where that came from.
I don't know how the song goes, but yeah, that's how it is. Well, what else should we play?
You got one?
Yeah, we're talking about something in tree, or autumn leaves.
Yeah. Probably everybody.
You like
knows
Autumn
that
Leaves?
one?
Classic.
Good song.
Yeah.
We just hear it a lot.
Yeah.
But get tired of it, I think. It's a great song.
Everybody kills on it though.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's got all the different changes. It's got all your, it walks you right through the key. So there's a 2 5 1 4, then 2 5 into the relative minor, 5 of 2. So it's good. Yeah, it's got all the good juicy chords.
Is it Johnny Mandel that wrote that? I was trying to remember who wrote that song.
Autumn Leaves.
Yeah.
Kafka or
Oh, and then the lyric is by...
yeah, the lyric is by him, I think.
Oh,
Cosmo?
Cosmo. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
and it was from a
Love to hear
movie,
Kafka.
I think,
Yeah, Kafka. Yeah, not Kafka.
in the 50s, 57 or something.
It began as a copy, then it breaks the
Yeah, that's exactly. Hey, Jim, come on in, man. Grab a seat.
Well, that's a different one. That's spring and tear. Autumn leaves. Yeah. You want me to do that thing? I do it? Yeah. Okay.
Nice. Yeah, we're gonna close on that song.
The melody's so nice, we played it twice.
Yeah, yeah.
So we were in B flat,
Okay.
anybody's, and the first chord in C minor. But there's two major keys that I've played it. So over the years, my experience has been that key, B flat, and also G, which is one sharp, and it starts on the 2 chord, which is A minor. So those are the two most common keys. When singers sing it, then sometimes it's in F, or singers will do it in different keys, but instrumentally, that's probably 95% of the time it's going to be one of those keys. unless somebody wants to get fancy, throw everybody off.
Well, when we're listening to you guys play, there's a lot of added harmony going on in those chord changes. So I'm wondering if maybe you can, what are some of your favorite reharmonizations, I guess, on Autumn Leaves, or do you like to do anything in particular? I heard a little walk-up happening on the E minor to get back to the, or not the E minor, but the G minor. Yeah. Yeah, I heard that happen a couple times.
Yeah, just what would Barry Harris do, or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
That one. So yeah, if you're not familiar with the Barry Harris diminished sixth concept, it's like take a minor sixth chord and a dominant chord a whole step above, and then cycle through the inversions, and what you get is utterly usable chord scale that if you cycle like strong beat, weak beat, strong beat, you're always going to be emphasizing these notes, but and also in lines you can there it is.
Is it without the Barry Harris chord, the 5? Are those all just inversions of that minor?
Yeah, it was just like first,
Second, third,
more or less, yeah.
root, first, second inversion.
Yeah, so root on the bottom, third on the bottom.
Those are important.
Yeah.
I always did that in your training.
Yeah, so it's so good to hear the and then when you get back to the top, just before you get to the top, change that G minor to a G7, which is the 5 of 2. Those of you who study with me know what secondary dominants are. That's 5 of 2, and then that's the tritone sub of 5 of 2, and that gives you the juicy melodic minor Lydian dominant sound that I get.
So you're putting a C sharp 7 there. Is that what that is?
Yeah, just a little
C sharp 7 down to C minor.
13 or whatever, but yeah,
Okay.
of that scale, and then you're back at the top. And you can do that on almost every chord. These are just tritone subs,
Yeah.
I mean, that's rife with them, and
Sure.
I'm guilty of overindulging in that, but I just think it's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It is cool. So you can think of that like kind of as seeing what the chord is that you're going to go to, and you're going to play a dominant chord a half step higher.
Half step higher, yeah.
And then bring it down.
And then bring it down, yeah. And if you're wondering what scale, like what is the melodic minor scale that links up with this secondary dominant, or this tritone sub, the half step, the dominant chord,
The
half
C
step.
sharp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then think about the 5th of this chord. So in this case, the 5th is G sharp, and you play melodic minor from G sharp. And because Lydian dominant is the 4th mode of melodic minor, if you start on the 5th, you're gonna get all those notes. So will you play the C sharp?
Are you on this?
Yeah. Yeah, and you get a lot. Yeah. And that resolves nicely to C minor. So it's in place of the Hendrix chord. You can do the Hendrix chord too.
Ah, yeah.
That was pretty cool. And it's the same scale actually. It's just a question of what the bass is doing. Yeah.
Cool. What about the walk down part? Sometimes people do walk downs there where it goes chromatic at the end.
Oh.
You know, it's like or sometimes people play a series of 2 5s.
The sunny step changes, I think they call those, at the beginning.
Oh, at the beginning, yeah, the descending 2 5s.
Some people call that the sunny step.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I've been wondering about that.
Yeah, it must be on a record somewhere.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
You know, that's a tricky thing, because do you just play it do you play a repeating motif, or do you try to weave a line through it? Sometimes I try to play brain games and
Yeah.
just keep a line moving in a direction, so like da, 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 and then now the bass is going down and the chord is built on a different harmony. So I was playing just G natural minor, but then now we're over the G flat, and I'm thinking Lydian dominant, so like that would give me the Lydian dominant sound. And then for this F minor, let's see, I ended up here, F minor, there you go. Should we try a thing?
You wanna go out of time?
Yeah, let's go out of time. Just starting out, like the G minor, G7, G flat 7, F minor. Yeah, just the turnaround, yeah.
That's really a passing chord.
Yeah.
So I put that.
I want it, yeah. And then, yeah. And then to F minor. Yeah, let's try it again. Do one more time. Okay, this is a safe way. So if you find a motif that you know, Bob's your uncle, it's just you gotta find something that works in the moment. And I'm learning more and more in teaching that the thing that I cling to and that saves the day is just little bite-sized licks. Like, how can I fill 2 beats
Yeah.
of G minor, and then based on that, that's the antecedent, the consequence of that over this next chord. That just makes sense. It's also a question of like, what is possible with our guitar's a weird instrument because we can only reach the notes we can reach at that moment. So it's not convenient for me to like I can't get these notes very easily. I just have to think about what's here and do I change position? In this case, yeah, it works. But sorry, I'm just rambling. That's a juicy part though.
Yeah.
Turnaround.
Yeah, sure. Does anybody have any other questions? Yeah.
It's David, right?
Yeah.
You have this chomping method that you were doing that I really liked how you're doing that. It's kind of like it's every quarter note, but then you're adding a lot of extra stuff to it.
Yeah.
Any like, can you dive into the logic or how you approach that or how you feel that?
Well, you guys know that comes from Freddie Green, maybe some of you who, so from what I understand, he just pretty much played the straight quarter notes with the chord. So it was no stuff in between.
Right.
And I played in a big band with John Clayton, and he schooled me on playing Freddie Green. So he told me what he wanted, and then that's what I learned from him. He said, no, don't play any of that in between stuff. Well, that's a big band.
Yeah.
And that would be my part. But sitting here with the two of us, I want to generate more rhythm instead of just quarter notes. So I'll be playing off of eighth notes that fit that tempo and also eighth note triplets. And I'm kind of basing what I'm doing chord-wise, I'm combining it with those rhythms, if that makes sense. But the main thing is to get a good steady pulse with the quarter note. So you're not going like that's real slow, I know. But you want to get it as steady as you. Here's just quarter notes with just one chord. You don't have to even worry about this. Quarter notes. Pretty short quarter notes. A little bit of space in between them. If I put some eighth notes in there, It's gonna be eighth note triplets. I'm gonna put triplets in, but I do that a lot. And
Uh-huh.
1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. So I don't know if that.
I think so. I guess I can either do Freddie Green or I can sound bad.
Well, I don't know if that.
Yeah, that's cool though. That sounds good.
So really, to me, I think sometimes what's most important, it doesn't seem like it maybe should be, but having the rhythm solid and the bass motion solid is really important. Then the chords and the other stuff is on top, but that's the foundation. So that's what doing that kind of comping is kind of functioning. I play a little different with a bass player, because but one player I listened to a lot for that style was Jim Hall, if anybody knows. And he does the quarter notes and then he adds stuff in between. So you're basically improvising with the rhythm, however you hear it.
Would you say you improvise with the rhythm more when there's a smaller ensemble you're playing with?
Probably.
Yeah.
And if you have drums, I like to play with it off the drummer, so sometimes I have it back and forth, and it's easier to do that with a drummer when you can focus on not playing rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Guitar, your rhythms are in your solo and what you play on the drums. I think sometimes we forget rhythm is a large part of learning how to play music, especially jazz music. And we just kind of forget it because there's so many chords, and 12 keys to learn. It's just, but you can always work a little bit of that into your practice routine, work on rhythm and subdividing rhythms, if that makes any sense. But
Is that something you've practiced, like spent a lot of time practicing?
I think I subdivide kind of just intuitively.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really count to it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of learned that from Terry Peacock, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is, but what you're doing internally is you're subdividing, even if you're people say you play behind the beat or you garage. Well, what you're doing is you're playing the subdivisions.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that, but I guess my point with that is just take 10-15 minutes and work on some rhythm exercises.
Mm-hmm.
Drum books sometimes are good, like the Ted Reed book. Well, I don't know if you went through that.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Was Jerry there?
Yeah.
You went through the Ted Reed
Yeah.
book. It's a drum book, but at Cornish, one of the rhythm teachers just used that book for the text, and he worked out of that. So it starts very simple, and then it goes into syncopation, and so everybody calls it the Ted Reed book, but it's a drum book, but you can use it for guitar or piano or just play on your keys.
Well, there's an aspect of drumming in all of our instruments.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
it's like you start to see it more and more.
Yeah. Piano is considered a percussion instrument, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Somehow.
But it's not because you drum with your hands, it's because a hammer strikes the string.
You drum with all 10 fingers.
Yeah, sort of. Bad drumming.
You play
Cool.
Chopin.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, cool.
I have a question about the chord melodies, like particularly some stuff you were doing on the out head on that tune. How are you thinking about harmonic density in there? How many notes you want in your voicing throughout the melody? Not crowding it out.
Like, drop two voicings are great because you can more or less kind of hear it. So there, before I could play anything like that, I had to learn just chord scales, just practicing like here's, B flat major in seventh chords and I guess that's drop 2, and then the different inversions of that, and be able to.
Are those all 4-note voicings you're using?
Yeah, and they fit really well on guitar. It's once you learn them, they're kind of irresistible, and then they become intuitive, and you start to hear them like what's the how's it go? You can kind of play like a horn section if you want, and there are only so many of these voicings. Like I try to remind myself of that. That's what got me there, to being able to hear it and play it. The guitar is only this big, so it's a pretty small office. You can find everything. It's right there. So if you lose it, it's not far. So if you hear it and it sounds like something you can do, take a moment, quiet your mind, hear what it is you intend to play, and then find it, because it's like. Sorry.
Yeah.
What about that process? I'm just being about hearing what you play. I mean, I hear that talked about, and it's kind of a hard thing to understand. But I think it's really the thing that everybody starts with. Music has to start with an idea or a theme, something. And ideally, that will come from your imagination. And then you put that idea on your instrument, like a composer. Jazz is so fast that you don't have time to really understand what they're doing. It just sounds like a bunch of notes. But if you slow things way down and try to hear what it is, the music inside you, is it dissonant? Is it rhythmic? Is it consonant? Is it sleepy? Is it, it's not just chords and notes. It's a lot of stuff you put into your solo. So anyway, the idea of playing what you hear is that you try to understand what that is that you're hearing, maybe in notes, maybe not in notes, it's just a vague idea, but then try to put that on the instrument if you can. Even if it's just like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I mean, going like this, it's a great exercise. See, well, now my ear is guiding me. I don't have that practice, but I know Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and I know I can play it on every string on the guitar. But if you have melodies like that, and you can't play them on the guitar, sometimes finding them on the guitar is really helpful.
Sure.
If that's a slow process for you. But it's important to play the music that's inside you, I think. And the instrument is just there to express your story, basically, that you want to tell. We forget about that sometimes. I do, certainly. You go to music school and you're thinking about all this technical stuff and whatever, but it still comes down to hearing the music you want to make and playing it on your instrument with other people, so a lot of times. Anyway, that's my.
Bill has a question.
Does that imply that it's more prepared than improvised in that way? Would you say like that's more?
I think players do a wide. It's on a spectrum of really truly improvising and then on the other side, people that play a lot of patterns and licks. So, and then there's a lot of people in between. And on the guitar, I always felt that Joe Pass just played a lot of patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's a little void of the emotion I want to hear from the guitar. Obviously he's a great player, and then you have somebody like a Jim Hall, and he's trying to improvise with everything he's playing. Well, it's slower, and he's letting his ear guide his fingers instead of just playing practice patterns. So it's all okay, you know. There's no bad or good or rules, but you find what you're comfortable with, and just know that not everybody is making a great solo or a real improvised solo every time they play.
Sure.
Especially when you play fast.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing because you have to play a lot of practice patterns, and you can't always take the time to hear the note, try to find it. But that's good to practice that if you can somehow hear the idea and try to get it on your instrument.
Yeah, that's great. That's a really good way to explain it. And I have some more questions about this because we talk about this a lot. How there's all these different types of improvising, and a lot of times when people come to the piano, where they get frustrated is because they are thinking about one type of improv, the type of improv that maybe Keith and Chick, you know, they're doing, where they're trying to imagine a note and play it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're going maybe note by note, you know, through the piece.
Oh, through maybe a written out transcription to one of those, or
Yeah, or they're like just trying to hum a note, you know, and then play, and they're going through their song, improvising that way. And then there's other players like Oscar, who's going to be playing fast lines that are kind of like built-in vocab, kind of like what you're talking about.
Yeah, he was probably kind of like Joe Pass.
Yeah, that's right.
Just,
And I wonder, you know, so I wonder, like for you two, when you're improvising, is your mind active, following with the melody that you're making up, or are you more zen, like trying to not really, but just letting things kind of come out?
well, I think that the ideas are kind of in a hierarchy in your head, and it's what you play and what you choose to come next is kind of like improvising. That's what Gary Peacock told me. He was a bass player, and he's kind of a zen, or was a zen-like guy. Had all these sayings, but he said that to me, and it finally made sense after about 30 years. A lot of improvising is what you play, and then what you choose next.
Yeah.
And it's on and on, but that's, but I think we have a hierarchy of choices in our memory of like things that you might play on a C scale or a few licks, but you might change the rhythm, and it's going to make it totally different, the same notes. So anyway,
Yeah, so that might be like an instance where you imagine your line that you like to play, the thing that, so you're playing along, you're imagining it happening, but then you say to yourself, I'm gonna do this other thing. I'm gonna add rhythm.
yeah,
And so now you're playing kind of a hybrid, something that you were imagining, but now you've added like a tactic
yeah.
to it. Like, I'm gonna try some rhythm. So it's kind of this mashup, right?
Should we try a little bit, and I'll just play off the, this is just hypothetical, it's not trying to play it with
We're gonna do a thing.
concert, but what I'm gonna try to do is play more in the moment and not play so many of my licks. I have licks. And, you know, everybody has licks. If they say they don't, they're lying.
Hey, we want licks, man. That's like,
Yeah. But if you can be creative with the licks, that's just more icing on the cake. So what I'll try to do is I'm going to try to react more in the moment and not have, not play so many practice patterns. That said, sometimes you start a pattern or a lick, and you might not know where it's gonna end, but you do know it's gonna be a 4-bar phrase and it's gonna take you to the end of your phrase, but you don't know what's in the middle of it.
Mm.
And that's what I think some of those guys like Keith and Chip, they can see ahead in their mind. It's hard to describe it. 8 bars, where they're gonna be in 8 bars.
They can kind of think backwards.
Yeah. They're probably not thinking about that, but they're able to,
Take the macro view.
yeah.
Yeah.
You take that theme and you do something with it.
Yeah.
And it might last 4 bars, it might last 8 bars. And that's, to play like Keith Jarrett or Chick Corea, that's obviously not humanly possible for most of us.
Yeah.
Anyway, love it.
Did you want to do something?
Oh yeah, I was gonna, so what should we do, just some kind of blues or blue bossa or something?
Let's do blue bossa.
Blue bossa, and we don't have to play long, but, I'll try to react to whatever I'm hearing. It might not be.
Nice.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you could hear if I tried to take something he was going to
Sure.
spill off,
Wow.
spin off from it, but.
Sometimes you and your compatriots like John Stoll,
Mhm.
they'll each take a solo and then they'll solo together. It's
Oh.
like, that's wild. What if we did one together?
Sure.
Okay, so we're gonna play these changes, no rhythm section necessary. We're just gonna play in time, about the same tempo, give or take. Should we
I would,
have a conversation?
one thing, if you want to get people to come back and listen to your solo, if they're asleep, sometimes you leave a long pause in your solo, and people go, what's happening? Oh, something, it's not just playing a string and 8th note.
This is a life pro
falling
tip.
asleep.
This is so good.
Wow, that is
Silence is golden.
A solid string of 8 notes isn't really very interesting to me, and that's what a lot of bebop ends up being.
Guilty.
That's,
yeah.
should we do the blue bossa again?
Let's do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll just-
So, yeah, I mean, so we're gonna probably wrap it up here in a couple minutes, but you know, I want anybody to ask their last questions, and maybe we could get one more tune. That would be awesome. And I, of course, have one more question. I just have to keep digging at this. Now we have Dave here. Okay, so let's say we're playing Blue Bossa, and you're improvising. You're playing a line. You're following along, and you're imagining the next note, and things aren't going good. And then you imagine a note that's maybe like a big interval away, and things go bad. And you play something you didn't mean to play. What is the immediate, what do you do? Does it derail you, or does it immediately change your plan?
Well, I think the best players know how to disguise that. So you don't always know it's what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So usually you're within a half step or a whole step between a good note. That's a common thing people say. Well, if you hit a wrong note, just quickly switch it down or up a half step, down or up a whole step, and you're probably going to be consonant.
Yeah.
Hopefully with the scale at that point, not play the wrong note.
Sure.
That sounds dissonant or bad against the chord.
So, okay, so if you do that, now you've gone from a dissonant note to a new note. Are you in your mind, are you taking it now from there, immediately trying to craft a new line from your new note, or do you kind of stop and reset?
Well, I remember being aware of trying to, if you do start to make some mistakes, and it's not, I mean, real horrible, you try to, in the moment, you try to tell yourself, I'm not stupid, I'm not lazy, I practiced, blah, 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 and just go on from that point without chastising yourself because you made a mistake.
Yeah.
And that'll just keep you frozen.
Sure.
Except that thought. So you have to just go, everybody makes mistakes, tread up and go on to the next thing.
Think of yourself as you're treading.
And then people forget about your mistakes.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Like, in almost no time.
Well, it's got to be a big part of all improvisation.
Oh, yeah.
There's got to be wrong notes everywhere, and we just wouldn't know. So it's just part of the game.
Yeah. I think the best players can kind of slither and slide their way out of a mistake to make it.
Well, I think about that when I see Herbie playing.
Oh.
You know, because when I see Herbie Hancock playing, he's playing, you know, and then he'll play a chord and he'll surprise himself. And I go, if you're surprising yourself, that is, you know, like, you were not imagining it was going to sound like that, right?
Yeah.
If all of a sudden you're like, ooh, that was nice.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Maybe there's somebody that's helping the process somehow.
Yeah.
Guiding the hands.
Cool. Any other questions?
I feel like that shows that you're improvising and taking risks.
Yeah.
That you're not staying in your safe zone. And if you surprise yourself, I think that actually makes the end product a lot better.
Yeah. No risk, no reward.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I think is hard a lot of times, for me too, is how if you're in a jazz band setting, you're doing the typical role that you need to do on your instrument. What was I thinking? I think I lost my thought. Maybe I'll get it back in a second. I had some kind of idea, but
It's all good. Can we get another tune?
just stuff.
We'll ride the wave.
Wave?
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Wow, well, thank you very much, Dave, for coming in and doing this. That was really awesome. It was a great treat. We don't get to see you play very much, so we want to see more. You know, that was awesome.
Still trying, I haven't, not dead yet.
So, thanks everybody for coming, of course. So all of our events here are free. If you feel like supporting our events that we're doing, we have a little sign-up sheet over here. If you sign your name and put your account name, we'll charge your account $20 to kind of just go straight directly to having more master classes and events. There's also a jar over there you can put cash in if you have, but of course don't feel pressured to do that. And yeah, we're gonna hang out for the next 30 minutes or so, so feel free to just kind of hang out. Yeah, very cool. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Let's see.
I wish you would have played that last one first. I got questions
Thanks, Ray.
on that one.
Oh, you do? Oh, shoot.